Hello, my fellow fanfiction readers, as I, Dark Symphony 777, with a fanfiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description. Please like, subscribe, and please leave a comment on your thoughts of the story or any other future stories you want me to review or read. So this is a biggie. This is a biggie. It's Hercules and the Modern Girl, written by Starswim. I had a little bit of problem figuring out how to review this thing. It's not so much the story is bad or I didn't want to review it, it's just how the hell am I going to review this story? So the reason I thought I had this thought was because of how the story was structured. It was structured by seasons and it had episodes. So it pretty much played like an actual TV show or cartoon in this case, basically. It's Hercules. So I had a lot of trouble figuring out how am I going to review this, because I reviewed longer stories before. Misconceptions is 800,000 plus words, not counting the author's notes, which is another 200,000 plus in and of itself. So I read longer stories than this. The story, Hercules and the Modern Girl, where is it? How long is the story? I have the link. Let's see. It's 112 chapters, not counting season 4, and it's 340. So I reviewed a 500 story that has 500,000 words more. But the problem is that's how it was structured. It's like, how am I going to review this? Because I have no idea how I would do this. So I decided ultimately to go by seasons, because that's what it looks like. It looks like the author or authoress is technically working on each season individually instead of making it one gigantic story. So I'm gonna run with that. So this is gonna be part 1 of a up to 4-parter, depending on if the author finishes, if season 4 is the last one, and 2, if the author even finishes season 4 in the first place, because the author may just abandon the story for all I know. And it's basically a Hercules story. This is a really insanely popular story. When I was first getting into fanfiction, this was one of the first stories. Not very far back, because I started reading around 2011. Around 2000, I first heard about the story around 2014, 2015. And I heard a lot of people talking about it. It's like, hey, it's like this really good Hercules story going on. I said, what's it called? And I was like, asking him, I said, what's it called? It said Hercules and the Modern Girl. And I was like, I'll try that. And I read it. I first read only season 1 around 2015, around late 2015. And then I only just started, when I did this video, I decided I'm going to do this story again. I want to finish this story. Through hell or high water, I'm going to finish this story. So, overall, this story is going to be encompassing just season 1, because there's, again, 4 seasons. So, when it comes to a story like this, how it's structured, especially in like an episodic sort of way, there's the overarching plot, and then there's tiny little plots in between them. There's like episodes, and then there's interludes and setups for the next episode and everything. This is not based off the Hercules movie. This is based off the TV show. For those of you who probably never heard of the Hercules cartoon before, or were probably a kid in the 90s and it's like, I wasn't watching cartoons, I was too busy going outside and playing sports or playing video games. Yeah. Hercules was actually a pretty fun TV cartoon based off the Disney animated Disney Renaissance movie Hercules. I say Disney Renaissance because that's the time frame it happened in. There was actually about 5 or 6 cartoons based off Disney movies that they made. There was Hercules, there was Little Mermaid, 101 Dalmatians, Tarzan, Aladdin, and was there one more? I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember. Unless you count Tailspin as a sort of no, because how the hell would that make that work connected to Jungle Book? I don't know. Um, I honestly don't know. I was like trying to remember if there was a sixth one. Hercules, Tarzan, Dalmatians, Little Mermaid. Hold on, I have a page. Blah blah blah. Let's see. Legend of Tarzan, Buzz Lightyear. There we go. In a and Timon and Pumbaa. There's the sixth one, and it kind of sort of Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear is kind of iffy because it's more based off the advertising of Buzz Lightyear in the context of the show than Toy Story itself. But the only ones really worth watching are Hercules, Aladdin, and Timon and Pumbaa. Timon and Pumbaa because it was hilarious as all hell. That one was more a sketch show than anything else. Hercules because they didn't take themselves too seriously, and even as a kid when I saw that cartoon, it's like I could tell they were having fun with the show. And Aladdin, especially if you're into the lore, because for some reason the Aladdin cartoon is actually canon to the movies. I don't know how that works. But the cartoon, out of all of them, the cartoon is Aladdin is the only one that's actually tied into the movies because they have a lot of callbacks to the movies and a lot of like foreshadowing to King of Thieves, the third movie. I actually really liked all three Aladdin movies. I think they're all really good. But this one is focusing on Hercules. I really loved Hercules. Like Icarus was a riot, Cassandra was a hoot. I loved everyone. Adonis was a lovable jerk. I don't know. For some reason, I liked Adonis. He was like a complete. He was a complete unrepented asshat, and it's like, seeing his get his comeuppance was fun. So, in order to talk about each individual chapter or each individual season, we gotta talk about the overarching plot. Sorry if I got off topic there. I was about to go into like a completely different video. So this is technically classified as an insert story. What an insert story is the author creates their own persona and puts them into a story and see what plays out. Usually, the reason I'm more labeling the author as more of a woman is mainly because, the main character of the story is a woman, and I'm, kind of going off that. If it's an insert story, more than likely whichever gender the insert is, the author is more than likely that gender. Unless you're have a lot of mental baggage on your head. So the overarching plot is this Greek woman named Natalie who lives in modern day Greece. She likes the Hercules movie, and then she watches it and then gets sucked into the TV, into the Hercules world, not during the movie, not before the movie, no, way before the movie, before at the start of the actual cartoon, and there she meets Hades, Hades, hey, Lord of the Dead, how you doing? And how you doing? And, she runs into him and said, hey, you're in the underworld, yeah! And so, Hades, unlike a lot of insert stories of this kind, where, the author kind of messes around with the whole timeline, say, hey, how fucked up can I make this game, or how fucked up can I make this anime or cartoon? No, the three fates beat her to the punch, flat out tell Hades, she's not from around here, she's from a different world altogether, pretty much spoiling that. It's like, when I first read this story, it's like, okay, that is new. I have never seen that before. I read a Resident Evil story that kind of had the same thing, but instead of them finding out she's from a different dimension, she just she kind of played coy, and it was based off games she never played before. So at least, but regardless, so Hercules finds out she's from a different dimension. She's from kind of sort of the future, and he brokers a deal with Natalie. He tells her, you help me take over Olympus, you go home. And then she asked the face, it's like, is this really a future? It said, it's one of two futures. You can either because you will fall in love with someone in this world. So it's like, okay, so now we got kind of a romantic mystery. We have all this drama. We have everything. It's like, oh my god. You can either stay with your love, but you don't go home, or you don't and you do go home. So now, you know, there's a lot of emotional baggage right at the beginning, right? And it's done actually pretty well. And so the series after that is just basically playing out over the course of the cartoon episodes involving Hades, because I don't think Hades is in every single episode of Hercules. I'm pretty sure. It's been a while since I saw the cartoon. But regardless. And so, you know, each episode plays out like kind of sort of like an episode in the cartoon. Like, let me just go back to chapter 1. There's the first episode, first day of school, then Apollo mission. So these are all episodes that have Hades in some way or form. I haven't read the entire story. I'm actually on the first episode of season 2, Arabian Nights, the Hercules Aladdin crossover. So I don't even know how far. I don't even know if there's any episodes that don't have Hades in it, or the author's just gonna put Hades into it, just to make everything fine and dandy. And overall, the plot kind of segues into the actual episodes, intermingle with, like, Hades and Natalie kind of growing as, like, a very, very dysfunctional odd couple, like you see in those wrestling shows, like Booker T and Goldust. Seriously, just look up Booker T and Goldust, and you'll find out what I mean. Or Team Hell No, because since this is relevant, because Kane is Mayor of Knoxville. Hey, good for him. I really like Kane. He's gonna choke slam everyone, and I'm getting off topic again. I don't know why I keep getting off topic. Honestly, I don't know. So that's the overarching plot. So let's get into the individual plots. Episode 1, first day of school. Basically, Hercules joins Prometheus. What was the name of the school? Blah 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 blah. I can't remember the name of the school. I'm sorry. I can't remember the name of the school where, you know, she meets the gang, she meets Hercules, she meets Icarus, she meets Cassandra, she meets Adonis. And they run into that two-headed Cyclops who's the son. I can't remember that guy's name. I know he's the son of Gaia. But that's it. And, you know, she's like, I need to hurt. And she's like, I'm a somebody. He's like, no, you're a stale somebody. But you're not a royalty. And she's like, I worked for Hades. Like, does she count? Episode 2, the Apollo mission. In this episode, Hercules works for a hero stand. And no, not a hero as in he's a hero. It's like Gyro, like gyro. But it said hero because gyros are completely different things. And he pulls Apollo's chariot with the sun. Hades kidnaps it, and then, you know, Natalie pulls a fast one. Because it's like, I wasn't counting on them coming to the underworld. And then episode 3 is the big kiss. This is the episode where Cassandra Hades is looking for a new seer. She asks Cassandra. He gets Cassandra, and Natalie gets pissed because of the fact Hades didn't know Cassandra they were actually friends. Visit from Zeus. This is actually the first episode I saw of the cartoon, because I actually saw the second kind of sort of Hercules movie, which was basically just I believe 2 or 3 episodes of the cartoon, and Visit from Zeus was the second one. And I had to go to the bathroom because in order it was the first day of school, one other episode, and then Visit from Zeus, or was it was either that or just first episode and Visit. And I missed the first episode because I had to go to the bathroom, and I was in there for and my grandfather needed help with something, and so when I got back, it was on Visit from Zeus. So I watched that, and then I rewatched the video because I wanted to see the whole thing. And saw the first 2 episodes. But I really like Visit from Zeus. Basically, Zeus Hercules kind of says, "You don't know what it's like being immortal." It's like, "Fine, I will be immortal." And he turns himself mortal. And then Hades takes advantage of sending Cerberus after him. Comedy arrows. It's the Valentine's Day episode where Icarus sees Cassandra smooching on another man, and he makes these loathed arrows to get it, and Pain and Panic kind of take advantage of them. And Dream Date is, of course, the episode. Dream Date is actually my favorite episode because it introduces Aphrodite. And the episode is basically the Aphrodite dance. Hercules, he wants a date, so he asks for Aphrodite to make this clay sculpture come to life. And it got a hilarious moment, like at the beginning where they're talking. It's like, "Can you make her taller?" It's like, "A little taller." Yeah. It's like, "How about curvier?" It's like, fine. And then he goes, "How about a little more?" Okay, you can. No, that's enough curviness. It's like, fine. She's perfect. Wait, that moment never cracks me up because that is actually pretty hilarious. And so intermediate throughout the story are these interludes of Hades and Natalie kind of yelling at each other, saying, "Oh, it's your fault," and they're basically yelling like an old person couple right off the bat, saying, "Hey," and they get into a lot of arguments, and it's actually pretty played out really well. Character development. I actually really like the character development in season 1. Natalie is actually a pretty relatable protagonist. She's stuck in a situation and she's trying to make the best out of it. And while she's an independent woman, I don't believe in feminism because I think feminism is corrupt. I think the idea of feminism way back in the day, like the first wave, was noble. It was good. Now feminism is becoming a shell and a corrupted shell of its former self. The first wave feminists are probably rolling over in their grave right now, for all I know. But Natalie plays the independent woman pretty well. I mean, she still shows off that, hey, I'm a woman, but she knows that in this area, in order to get home, she has to stand up to herself. She has to stand up to Hades. And, she's a very relatable character. Hades is Hades. You can't go wrong with Hades. Hades is awesome. You captured that James Woods feel of Hades. You did a lot of lingo, which is a plus. You made Hades actually kind of likable. But then again, Hades has always been likable because he's Hades. He's like the best Disney villain. Although Ratigan would have to say something like that. Hey, it's Ratigan today, it's Ratigan today. I don't know why I'm singing. I don't know because he's Ratigan. I gotta watch it. I gotta watch a video of that song. I want to watch Great Mouse Detective again. I really love that movie. Pain and Panic, they're loyal minions. They're the butt monkeys. They're like, "Hey, we're here to get beaten up and punished." Yeah. Very well. Hercules, Cassandra, and Icarus. They're actually pretty done. The author captured the characters perfectly. Hercules is a slightly clumsy, awkward young teenager still trying to find his way in how to be a proper hero. Cassandra is a sarcastic, snarky seer, and Icarus is Icarus. I can't describe Icarus any more than that. You literally gotta watch the cartoon to figure out that Icarus is Icarus. Grammar. There are actually a lot of grammar errors in season 1. Not a whole bunch that it dragged that is like really, really bad, but enough just like I can notice it and point them out, and it's like, here's a grammar error right here. Here's a grammar error right here. Here's a grammar right here. But that's more due to, not so much actually misspellings and, like missing words, is it more the proper pronouns. So what you must know, in this story, the story is first person. If you actually see my Five Nights at Freddy's video, I mentioned I'm not a fan of first person. I'm not. Mainly because of how I read stories and I picture them in my mind, and I have a really hard time doing that with anything other than third person. First person, I'm more itchy on because, I can sometimes see it like I do with Hercules and Monogirl. I can actually see the situations playing out in third person. But, stuff like second person or other first person, I have a lot of trouble reading. So hence why, first persons take me longer to read than third person, because I can breeze through. I remember reading a 500-page mystery novel, and it was in third person. I read it about an hour and a half. I tried the same length. It was a first-person story. It took me close to 3 times as long to finish, and that's because I had to keep going back, trying to figure out, how they're working, how they're playing. It's not so much I hate first persons or anything other than third persons. My last review I did, which was Mega Man Parody Hour, which was a script writing, but the script actually kind of made it funny and made it work, and this story kind of makes first persons work for me. It's really just, the writing style is just a personal choice for me. I will still read first person. I'll still read anything, but it has to make sense within the context of the story you're trying to pull and everything. Do I like, but I will have to say this, but the story has a very, very bad habit of constantly using first person pronouns when they shouldn't be used. So the story is one focused on Natalie. She's the main character, but when the story doesn't focus on Natalie, it goes from a first person to a third perspective, and it's played off relatively easy. The author manages to do it seamlessly, except for the fact the author has a really, where is it? I'm trying to remember what there was a part in I think what is this one? I can't remember. I can't remember what chapter it was, honestly, which is kind of bad. But there are certain points throughout season 1 where the author switches it to third person and then still uses first person pronouns to describe Natalie, which is very, very bad because it forces you, seeing something like that kind of forces you out of the third person narrative. It's like, it makes people confused over whether or not, is it really third person, or is the author getting confused over whether or not it's third person or first person? If you're using third person, you gotta use third person pronouns. But it's okay in first person to use first person pronouns like I or me or my. Would me work in the sense? Yeah, it kind of works in the sense, depending on what sentence you're using. But you can't put that into third person point of view, because you're looking at it through someone else's point of view. You're looking at it in a general point of view, and so having Hercules talk and focusing on Hercules and still using first person pronouns, despite the fact the character's not even there, is at 3 times disorienting, confusing, and annoying. But that's really the only complaint I had about season 1. Pacing and imagery. For a first-person story, I can easily imagine. It helps that I saw the cartoon. I think if you're not into first-person, or you have trouble reading first-person stories like me, it'd be easier, just watch the cartoon, watch a few episodes of cartoon, and, you'll be able to figure out everything pretty easy. Because I think I had kind of a little help with this watching the cartoon. The pacing is actually really good. The author actually gets the points across in each episode, and does it in a way that doesn't feel rushed, and it feels like you're watching an actual episode of the cartoon, which is an immaculate plus. And I really, really love that. And I think there's nothing rushed, there's nothing really too slow for the sake of being, writing it out. It's not like every single story has to be rushed. It's not like every single story has to be so slow it drags everything down. You have to find a balance. You have to find a balance, and the author found this balance perfectly. The author sped it up when it needed to be sped up and slowed it down when it needed to slow down. And it depended on each episode that you had this immaculate flow going through it. Like you're actually binge watching each episode of Hercules. I mean, that is amazing. It's easy to do in like an actual, original story, but it's much harder to do in this type of story because you're copying and pasting actual episodes from the TV show, and you have to try and make them work in this context of written work, because not every single thing can be translated to word. It's impossible. And again, Twilight exists. Twilight jokes in 2018. Nothing to say about that. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing aside from the habit of putting those pronouns. I have no real problem with the story. Other than that, favorite part. What I recommend. I'll actually say what I recommend it for the season 3 video. Because of the simple fact, I can't really do it like this. Mainly because it'd be kind of awkward. Because if you read the story, you'll see that the author kind of lumped seasons 1, 2, and 3 all into one. So it's like it kind of be a really awkward moot point to say what I recommend it, since I'm not technically done with the story yet. I'm just technically done with a part of the story. Favorite part, basically, it boils down to what is my favorite episode. It'd be the first date, because that is my favorite episode of the cartoon. I don't care what anyone says, it's my favorite part of the cartoon. It's my favorite episode of the entire Hercules series. It makes me wonder what would happen if the author did like an Aladdin version of this. It's just, just without Jafar showing up, like the cartoon. That would be awesome. I would love to see an Aladdin version of that. Or maybe with like Mosenrath. Yeah, I would like to see what the author does with Mosenrath, honestly. Favorite part, again, first date. Just first date as a whole. Just like that whole episode, because it gives us a lot of development in the relationship of Hercules, Natalie, and Hades. It gives us a new player in the entire grand scheme of things in Aphrodite, finding out about Natalie's working for Hades. It makes Galatea, the author actually makes Galatea somewhat more detestable by actually flat out trying to kill Natalie, which is like, it's like, I knew Galatea in the episode was like cruel, but it's like, damn. And overall, I like that. Anything I would change, it's basically just fix those pronouns. Just change it from first pronoun to third person pronouns. That's pretty much it. Yeah, but this is a really good story. I can't wait to do part 2. I can't wait to continue reading this, because when the first time I read it, I got as far as the end of Arabian Nights, and then it's like I got so busy I couldn't read it anymore. And then when I started deciding on this channel, it's like I gotta do all these videos, and then I completely forgot about the story, because I want to read the story, I want to finish it, or at least get up to season 3, because until season 4 is finished, I don't know whether or not it's going to be finished, because dead fics are a thing. So this has been Dark Symphony 777 with